Whoever has his love in this world in the hope of paradise and what it contains of bliss, houris, and palaces, he would be made to abide in paradise, and enjoy thereof whatever he likes, play with children and bless himself with women. And this is the utmost degree of his pleasure in the hereafter, for everyone is given in love only what he desires for. Whoever has his purpose is the Lord of the abode and the sovereign of the dominion and the king of the kingdom, whose love prevails over his heart with sincerity and truthfulness. Of a surety he would be in an assembly of truth, in the presence of a sovereign omnipotent. Al-Qamar 55. The righteous would enjoy themselves in the gardens and bless themselves with the houris and children. While these nearest to Allah Almighty would abide by the presence of Allah, to which they restrict their vision, and regard with slightness all pleasures of paradise in comparison with the presence of Allah Almighty. The former party would be engaged in fulfilling the desires of their abdomen and genitals, and the latter party would be engaged in sitting in the presence of Allah. Another sign is to be in his love fearful and frightened by veneration and exaltation, thinking fear to contradict love, although it is not so. Perception of greatness and grandeur enjoins veneration and exaltation, whereas perception of beauty enjoins love. But lovers in particular have fears in the stations of love which are unique to them, some of which are more severe than others. The first is to feel afraid of turning away, and more severe is to feel afraid of veiling, and more severe is to feel afraid of remoteness. It is that significance which frightened the master of all lovers, peace be upon him, when he heard the statement of Allah Almighty in the Surah of Hud. Ah, behold, removed from sight were, Ad, the people of Hud. Hud 60. And, ah, behold, removed from sight were the Thamud. Hud 68. And, ah, behold, how the Madian were removed from sight, as were removed the Thamud. Hud 95. Praise be to Allah, who stands over every soul, and knows all that it does, watches over every organ and knows what it commits, learns the secrets of the hearts when they have an inner thought, and accounts the passing thoughts of his servants when they are disturbed, from whose knowledge nothing even as little as an atom's weight in the heavens and on earth escapes, who would reckon his servant for all of their deeds, be they significant or insignificant. Who accepts the acts of worship from his servants, no matter how little they might be, and forgives for them their sins no matter how great they might be. Exalted be he, whose favor extends over all servants, and whose mercy encompasses all the creatures in the world and hereafter. By virtue of his gifts, the hearts expand to faith. By virtue of his success and help, the organs and parts of body are devoted to and disciplined by the acts of worship. By virtue of his guidance, the darkness of ignorance is removed from the hearts. By virtue of his support, the plots of Satan become futile, and by virtue of his care, the scale of good deeds overweighs that of misdeeds in the hereafter. Allah's blessing and peace be upon Muhammad, the chief of all the prophets and messengers, and upon his family, the chiefs of the people, and his companions, the leaders of the pious and righteous. Coming to the point, Allah Almighty said, "We shall set up scales of justice for the day of judgment, so that not a soul will be dealt with unjustly in the least. And if there be no more than the weight of a mustard seed, we will bring it to account, and enough are we to take account." Al-Anbiya 47.